Tonight, my speech is called Ride the Wave. So recently I watched quite an upbeat lecture from a man that was titled The Last Lecture, Really Achieving Your Childhood Dreams. It was in 2007 and his name was Randy Pouch. And in that speech, he gave us a quote and he said, "No matter how bad things are, you can always make them worse." And I said, wow, this is an upbeat guy. And I said, such a way to look at things. And I said, yeah. So I watched this really eagerly. And I found that as I went on, this Carnegie Mellon professor, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He died that next year, and this speech went viral. So if you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend that you go and see it. So what brought me to think about him for my speech is because when we get caught up in our own casualties and our own dilemmas and our conflicts and dramas that are all around us, which everybody has something happening nearby, small or big, we always get so caught up in these things that we have a tough time seeing what is at the other side and to see beyond these things that we are stuck into. Sometimes people will say, don't complain, just work harder. There are certain people who would totally agree with this. Jackie Robinson was a person who was spit on for being part of a marginalized group. She was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. These things still happen in our world, but not to belittle anything that is happening. Everyone has their struggles. And I just want to share a little bit of positivity that no matter how bad things are, they can always get worse. And we can always help to make them better. So this last year, I have to ask myself, I said, where did it go? We all became Zoom experts. We all know how to change our backgrounds now. We're all very happy to lounge around in our houses in our pajamas and our slippers, have a fabulous bedazzled jumper on top and our Adidas tracksuits below. But what's happening to us emotionally, with our lives, with our family lives, with our friends? How have we been able to deal with this? So this is why I'm thinking, ride the wave. We need to just embrace these things at times, because we've been put in a situation where we cannot cope with what we have been given. We've been given a worldwide global pandemic that has forced us to reevaluate how we live and how we believe. And I feel that when we reevaluate these things on a regular basis, we can't stick with beliefs we have developed when we were 15 years old, 25 years old, 35 years old. Even 2 years ago, even last week, I could have developed a belief that was wrong. And I want to reevaluate these things. So I think it's so important that we need to reevaluate them. There is rough water out there. So we're in some turmoil. We can be, thrown around. But at the end of it, there is a beach that we're going towards. So the man, Jontan Martensen, I picked a Swedish man. This is him. So he said, feelings are much like waves. We can't stop them from coming, but we can choose which ones to surf. And he looks like a fairly happy man. And I'm happy to kind of say, okay, this is good. Let's just pick something that we can deal with, because we can't deal with everything. But these waves will come and they'll go, and we'll be sitting on the water. We'll have our boards and we'll get there at the end. So a couple of things that from this lockdown, I suppose, that we want to address are like emotions. We're now aware of emotions more. We're experiencing things more because we've become much more sensitive to everything, because we've been worn down, because we've also just had the time to think and reflect. Like Patrick said earlier, he's reflecting a lot more. From Toastmasters, which has been excellent, that supported so many people throughout this pandemic. The support and the social aspect is excellent. So just remember that these feelings, when you have these emotions that come over you like waves, that they are there for only a temporary time. Like in the Avenue Q play, it's only for now. These things are not forever. So we're going to be up, we're going to be down, we're going to be, in great moods, we're going to have turmoil, we're going to be back in calm water again. So just go with these waves and experience them for yourself, because we've learned to build up our armor over the years, and performance is our armor. So now we've even been given more chance to reinforce this. So when we're young and old, we build our armor to protect ourselves. So that armor doesn't serve us anymore. We need to, it prevents us from being seen. So now we need to expose our vulnerabilities at times while still going with that wave and choosing how we are going to react to this pandemic. The challenges that we can take on our own can show us that we can try things, but we don't always need to be perfect in how we try. But we don't fail if we try, because we've tried. The changes around us again, our economy, we have changes in the economy, we have hook payment that everybody knows about, we have, you know, jobs that have become more important, frontline workers, not just the teachers, apologies to any teachers, but frontline workers, to me, people in the supermarkets who have been out there at the cold front, not getting any recognition. They are great people. They have just got through this thing. And I think there is huge applause for these people afterwards and massive pay rises. Toastmasters has been excellent. We have been seeing musicians come through this with spades. It's so great to see such bonding and people getting together and saying, no, we don't deserve not to be a minimalist group. We don't deserve to be forgotten about. And they fought and they got their wave. They rode that wave and they're on the beach and they got excellent funding and it got great reviews. You'll see there's so many live events now because of the work they've done. Everyone is great at photography now because you're spending your time at home. So guys, next time when that lockdown is over, run to the door, welcome that person in. Remember, breathe, we're all in this together again, but let the lessons learned not be lost. Toastmasters, thank you.
Joan, whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and to everybody, and most especially Ciara, for a very uplifting speech. And I think we all can agree that speeches that inspire hope and optimism at this time are always most welcome. So the title of Ciara's speech, Ride the Wave, reminds us that this is a turbulent time. So it was a well-chosen speech, a well-chosen title. Ciara asked me to look at her structure for her speech, and I'd love to maybe explore that a little bit later with her why. But for me, I wonder if she is thinking that perhaps her speech for me began with the photo of the lovely Norwegian and his quote about riding the wave. For me, that's where the speech started. The piece before it nearly contradicted it when she mentioned a quotation about no matter how bad things are, you can make them worse, seeing that odds with that central message of maintain hope, things will get better. So so that's a piece maybe I'm wondering if that's what Ciara's own reflection is. In terms then of other strengths, I mean, Ciara has a very quirky, fun way of communicating, some lovely use of quotes throughout. I think that's a real strength for Ciara. And, you know, the message itself, really universal, really important. So you know, that's for me, the biggest asset of the speech was that hopeful message. We needed so much. And I suppose in terms then of possible recommendations for Ciara, I've mentioned maybe that the structural changes that she's possibly wondering about herself. One thing that struck me was, so she talked about, you know, the idea of post-traumatic growth, that in the midst of this, we can still seek out the positives. And she mentioned things like everyone is great at photography because they're at home. And I was kind of going, well, I'm not, I can tell you that much. So one thing I'd watch is avoid generalizations, because you may alienate people inadvertently. So you might say, maybe put it as a question or as an invitation. Have you become better at photography? Have you got better at baking? So it's more invitational and less maybe alienating, if that makes sense, Ciara. I would say that for me was something just to watch, a very small thing. Maybe something that you might think about is coming a little closer, a bit like what Anke said about the last speech. Maybe bringing your monitor, if you can, a little bit closer so we get a stronger personal connection, because it's quite a personal speech. But I would say, Ciara, you know, a fantastically positive, uplifting message delivered with your unique style, really lovely use of quotes. And I loved, I suppose, especially that piece, that reminder that feelings are temporary. Even if it's a bad one, it's a temporary one. And I think that's a very positive message. And maybe to emphasize that more. Well done on the perfect speech for tonight. Thank you for sharing it with us.